The calls to shut down Dilley Detention Center are getting louder. The notorious South Texas Detention Center, also known as a prison for migrant families, and that is exactly what it is still operating. In a letter to DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin, a group of more than 100 Democratic House lawmakers described the brutality that is still unfolding inside the facility and the lasting trauma that it is inflicting on the kids inside. A quick warning, it's disturbing. Quote, parents describe horrendous conditions at Dilley, leading to severe depression, hopelessness, and suicidal ideation amongst their children. Children have reported that their food is often contaminated with worms and mold and that they feel sick after drinking tap water. Families also report not being able to sleep at night because the lights are kept on in their rooms throughout the night. We have heard heartbreaking accounts like this before. I reported on a young couple, Alsu and Azat, who fled Russia last year with their one-year-old baby Amir. They ended up at Dilley. Quote, according to Amir's mother, employees at Dilley forced her to wean him off formula, claiming he was too old. The solid food options Alsu insisted were not appropriate for a one-year-old. She described being so desperate to get Amir to eat that she sucked a spicy pasta sauce off noodles so she could feed them to her son. She and Azat resorted to hiding cereal from the dining hall at breakfast in their socks and hoods for later so their child would not go to sleep hungry. This is from our reporting with the Marshall Project and Kay Guerrero, the senior producer here at MS Now. Again, there are so many stories like this from so many traumatized kids and parents. Back in May, I went with a congressional delegation to Dilley. The lawmakers are going in to visit imprisoned families and see the conditions for themselves. Press was not allowed inside, but what they told me afterward was chilling. Here is what Congressman Joaquin Castro saw inside.
What'd you see?
Oh, just, the devastation and the trauma for those kids. And some people I've seen a few times now, and you can kind of see this hope fading away from them. And they'll say, oh, I was here last time you came, and, I talked to your office, but I'm still sitting here for 4 or 5 months. And, so it's with the kids especially, it's really hard to see.
Texas Democratic Congressman Joaquin Castro joins us now. He plans to head back to Dilley this week. Congressman, it's good to see you again.
Great to be with you, Jacob.
Thank you. Thank you. When you go back to Dilley this week, let's just go back. In the clip that we played, you talked about how difficult it is to see people that are still inside every single time you are there. What's the goal this time around?
Well, the goal for 110 of us at least who signed that letter to Markwayne Mullin is to get Dilley shut down. It is the only place in America that I can think of where we imprison young kids as young as 2 months old who have committed no crime and done absolutely nothing wrong. And then we traumatize them by denying them medical care or delaying medical care, by serving them sometimes food that's got worms in it, that's not suitable for them. Also, by the indignity that they see committed upon their parents. And there's a kind of psychological trauma that we don't talk about very often, but it's the only place in America also where we have allowed for the commodification of this child imprisonment. CoreCivic, as you know, is the private prison company that makes hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, running this facility. And the more people that are put into that facility, the more money they make. And so literally, it's to me shocking that in the United States, in our nation, we have allowed for investors to make money off of child imprisonment of kids who are as young as 2 months old.
It actually, it gives me the chills to hear you say that, even though I know it. Honestly, it is disgusting to hear that there are people making money off of detaining babies and toddlers in the United States of America in what is effectively a prison for families. And this is not a place like the detention centers I saw during family separation, where even though people were held there over the legal limit of 20 days under that Flores settlement agreement, here people are held at times over 100 days. I think the family that I met was inside of Dilley. I mentioned the letter that you and more than 100 of your Democratic colleagues sent to Markwayne Mullin, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary. Has he responded to your letter?
We have not gotten a response. We're going to keep pressing until we do. I know there's senators in the other chamber who are also talking about doing their own letter, And I hope that they absolutely will, because again, they're traumatizing these kids. Investors are making money off of it. And that includes some of the largest asset managers in the country who are also managing things like firefighters' pension funds, teacher pension funds, and other public pension funds. So they're traumatizing them. Investors are making money, and they're keeping them well beyond the legal limit, that 20-day legal limit. I've told you that I've met with families who have been there 7 months, 9 months. There was a family that was there for 11 months. These kids will never be the same, unfortunately. That trauma will stay with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that is exactly right. It is a trauma that lasts a lifetime. One senior HHS official, Jonathan White, told me during family separation that traumatizing a child is traumatizing them for the rest of their lives. If I could, I want to play a clip of my interview with a couple that I mentioned earlier, Alsu and Azat. They were the ones that were held inside Dilley after they left Russia with their 1-year-old Amir. She shared with me, the mother, that she was worried about the impact of detention on her son, exactly like you're talking about. And at the time, he had become aggressive and he started hitting himself in the face, all kinds of awful things. And I asked her about that. Let's listen, and this is through a translator. What's it like as a mother to watch your 1-year-old son go through that, to change, to behave in that way?
That was the hardest part. For those 4 months, all we thought about was our child, because as for us, we could have just sat there. Nothing terrible would have happened to us. But the fact that our child spent those 4 months sitting and sleeping under the lights, that was what truly drained us, both mentally and physically.
We think about Dilley every single day. We are traumatized. We got psychological traumas ourselves.
It's so hard to fathom babies going through this. How many families like theirs have you met inside?
Oh, I'm at this point, hundreds. You know, these kids are, we go and we talk to the parents, and the kids are often there, and you'll see that some kids are just stone-faced because I think they're in a kind of shock that they're in this trailer prison. And then some kids are very emotional, they're sobbing. There have been times where kids have come up to me and begged me to get them out of there. And so, yeah, I mean, you see the trauma express itself in different ways. And then as a young parent myself, or as a parent myself of young kids, I have a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 4-year-old. You know, your kids kind of see you almost as invincible, as a kind of superhero. And I've sat in rooms with families where you can see that the kids, that aura, that respect that they had for their parents, this idea that their parents could cure any ill for them, could protect them, has faded away. And you can sense it in the parents, this pain that their kids have seen them in this very vulnerable, very ugly situation. And I just know that's going to last with them the rest of their lives.
I know how hard you have been fighting to get this place shut down, and I just want to tell our viewers, it was closed during the Biden administration, and it was reopened during this second Trump administration. Please keep us posted after you go back this week. Let us know what you see and what you learn, and how your fight continues. Congressman Joaquin Castro from Texas, thank you so much.
Good to be with you.